Hello there, welcome back to the Smell of Logic channel. I am Ramona, and today's little Reddit story is what's the worst thing someone has said to you? This could get pretty dark and deep, so, well, maybe not. Maybe there'll be something that's, a little lighthearted, but considering the subject matter, probably going to be a little depressing and a little hard. But here we go, ready? I was never your friend. I just hung out with you out of pity. This one hit pretty deep. I was 14 to 17 at the time, I think. Only had one true friend, until he told me that. Wow. I've had the same friend tell me that I am unlovable and that I die alone with a belt around my neck in a ramshackle apartment that I'm forced to share with insert shitty relative on multiple occasions. She told me this so many times that I believed it, and she knows I believed it. She hasn't said it since I got into a relationship, but I know that if it fails, then she'll start right back up again. Yeah, that's not a friend. That's totally, yeah. Yeah. Anyway, I teach karate and have a really good relationship with every single one of my 200 plus students. The kids love me and the parents rave about me. I go on Facebook, and when people ask about martial arts in the area, no one mentions the school I work for. It's always, go see Sensei Ingnards. He's absolutely the best. Except one day I get a Facebook message from a mom I've spoken to in the past and who speaks very little English. I love her daughter. Like 7-year-old, very strong, determined, and just a pleasure to have in the class. So I get this message, and we aren't even friends on Facebook, and it basically says, I don't know what it is, and I can't figure it out, but there is something I don't like about you. That shit affected me for weeks. I've heard worse. I don't know why, though, but it was the only time I've ever felt really bad after hearing something. Yeah, I can understand that one. Being told that you'll never be good enough stings. This one, you're a R word. You can't really say that. I think he's mentally handicapped. Let's put it that way. 3 people have told them this. I'm afraid of you. I literally do nothing except look stupid and not talk to anyone. Yeah, there's no pleasing some people. I really loved you, and I'm just convinced that you would change. Oh, that's a new level of it's not me, it's you. Or it's not you, it's me. Either way. When my brother died, it was a drug overdose. My best friend at the time said, at least you don't have to worry about getting that phone call anymore. I would have taken more time with him any day, even if it meant always worrying about him. Let me tell you how to make money. I don't know if that's the worst. I mean, I guess for that person, that's the worst thing, but if it was said, I guess it depends really on the tone and how it was said. The only reason you're passing is because you have a job. For my graduate advisor, after 45 minutes defending my PhD. Wow. Okay, here's a funny one. You're hired. You are dumb and a mentally handicapped person. My mom said that. It hit me hard. Wow, that's pretty bad when your mother says that. Or any family member. Well, anyone close to you, actually. Let's just be honest. That's a terrible thing to say to somebody. I know you're not stupid, so why do you act that way? This was from a 5th grade teacher. Wow. I'm a disabled person in chronic pain, and a friend who was trying to get healthier and exercise more told me that he couldn't see me for a while because I was a trigger for him to be lazy, because I'm in a wheelchair. That ties with the guy I was dating who gave me the Christian Scientist holy text, which says pain is sin and treating it is wrong, and if you just work on your sin, you'll get better, but you will try to take medication, it is because you are weak. I did not continue dating that guy for long. I don't blame you. In high school, a friend started spreading a rumor that I was making up my health problems, which caused me to lose almost a year of high school because I wanted extra time on homework. Chronic disability is fun, y'all. When I was in middle school, a group of kids would always play football at a field near my house on Fridays. I was friends with a few of them, so I asked if I could play. They told me they weren't planning on playing, but said that I could come, that they would call me if I did. They would call me if they did. My sister called one of the kids' older brother, back when cell phones weren't that big, and so I didn't have one yet, and the kid's bro said they weren't playing. I get to school Monday. Practically giddy, one of the kids comes to me and says, we did play football. We just didn't want you to play. Never so embarrassed, and the kid genuinely enjoyed it. When I was 20, I went off to join the army. My mom didn't like the idea, and instead of saying anything constructive, she went with, "You'll never finish training. You're not resilient enough. You'll give up." 8 years later, and a couple of promotions and a tour in Afghanistan, and she still doesn't get it. Asked if I'd like to become an officer, passed selection, only for her to say, "You're not meant to be an officer, though. You should give it up." Commissioned just before Christmas. Doing just fine. She's not doing it out of spite, I don't think. She just seems to want to put me down. Wow. You are a loser who will die sad and alone, never quite accomplishing what you wanted, but knowing you could have had it, if you had just given it a little more effort. Said this to myself most nights as I was trying to fall asleep. See, yeah, I can feel that one entirely. I think most people can. There's this self-defeating thing, and it always eats at you at night, I've noticed. I used to date this absolute asshole. I did know he was a dick at the time, but I was young and stupid, blah, blah, blah. He used to check out other girls, like really creepily, when we'd all be out together at a bar or restaurant. I once called him out, and he said back to me, there will always be someone out there better in every way than you, so you might as well just accept it. A great thing to hear from someone you love. We'd been together nearly a year, and this was about 10 years ago. Still stays with me today, even though I'm happily married to someone else. F you, Anthony. There you go. I got death threats from 5 different people over a social media post I made about 5 years ago, so probably that. The one that included my home address was the worst. Wasn't my current address at the time, but still. Yeah, that's kind of freaky. Doxing is not cool. It really isn't. When I broke up with my ex, he said I am incapable of ever being in a relationship. Wow. A friend of mine had a crush on me for a very long time. After a while, I turned him down. He found another girl. He said to me in a humorous tone, "Compared to her, you're just a shit." It hurt so much. It's been years, and I still don't think I'm over it. P.S. She then cheated on him multiple times. Who was the shit again? Someone told someone else that they smell. Waking up to a phone call from my dad saying, "Your mother died this morning." She passed away from a completely unexpected heart attack 3 days before I was heading home to visit for the first time in over a year. Ooh, that's tough. Sorry, but we cannot accept you anymore in this school. You need to leave. There's a story behind that, but we don't know what it is. Me. Hello, Sergeant R. I brought a replacement for the boots Gunny gave me in the Songbow 11 EEE. I heard you guys went back to the ASOW while I was gone. Where's the Gunny? He looks tired, angry, and wounded. The Gunny is dead. That FNG forward observer they sent because you were too effing busy to show up dropped a round on his own head. Killed himself. Killed the Gunny. Where were you, man? That was the worst thing I've ever heard. The memory is burned into my brain. I remember what the room smelled like, how SFCR looked, what his voice sounded like, what I was wearing, how hot I was, how dirty everything at PK-17 was, how I went numb and stupid all at once, how loud all the sounds around me became, how the room kind of shrank away from me. I remember everything, every which way you can remember, sight, sound, taste, smell, touch, ESP, gut, every way. Wow. I started my PhD working on a project that never worked, and my 5 years into my PhD, my advisor kicked me out with "You are not working hard enough. You're just not capable of independent research." I don't know if that adequately sounds cruel enough if you're just not a scientist, but it basically meant I was expelled from my university with no recourse and no degree despite having worked so hard, and I was devastated. The good news is, I transferred elsewhere and I'm now finishing my PhD and going to Harvard this fall for a postdoc, so I'm going to suggest he was wrong on that one. A red-haired looked at me while a few of my friends and hers were listening to music and said, "You are ugly." It smashed my confidence as a 14-year-old. If I'm ugly, why do women want me? When Alice want me, then Alice you. Cunt. I don't know. All of this is from my father. Number 1. While he was dropping me off at a part-time job when I was 15, he said to me he was sorry for all the verbal and physical abuse he gave my brothers and I. I thought it was a turnaround moment for him, but then he said, "It just pains me that you made me do it." Number 2. Every day I pray for your death. Number 3. I hope you die violently on the way home. Number 4, my father found out that the kid who'd bullied me in school needed a place to stay, so he offered a room at our house and told me, "You're no longer my son. He is." Number 5, I used to go over to this older lady's house near mine because she would talk with us about home and life and give us food. My dad found out and told us that if we continued to go over there, that he would go over there and give her a heart attack, and that it would be our faults because we made him do it. And number 6, during the recession, my mom couldn't afford to pay child support, so my dad took me with him to her house and took her furniture, which he promptly put in the basement because he didn't need it. But on the way home, I remember him looking down at me and saying, "I win." Wow, I don't know how... Wow. Okay. Between me, 24F, and some girl who was a friend of a friend, 27 or 28F, who invited herself to my place for NYE, was so inadvertently told her I was pregnant, but to keep it to herself, and at a party in a public space with people that we didn't know. Around a table with said girl, her boyfriend, their male mate, me, my fiancé, and a couple we had all just met. Said girl says, "So, are you still pregnant?" Me? "Excuse me?" Girl says, "Are you still pregnant?" "I can't believe you just asked me that." What a shitty question. "Well, I mean, you could have had an abortion," or... I looked at her boyfriend, who was hiding behind his menu, saying, "I'm so sorry." Shit question. You should never ask anyone that. My father keeps telling me that nothing I say matters and he doesn't have to listen to me because he is the adult and I'm the child. I don't think he realizes that I'm almost 40 and I'm allowed to have freedom and make my own decisions. Narcissistic parents are hell. My mom told me I was the reason her marriage was failing. Oof. I know that she was a few glasses of wine into the night, and there were now obvious problems that had been there going on for years, but that really stuck with me. Someone else says, "I'll never leave you." You moved on, so we can't be friends anymore. My ex-best friend of 5 years who had helped me through depression and anxiety. Probably not the worst thing anyone has ever said to me, but it got me the most angry when I was 20 years old, working in an industrial wood mill. I went home a couple of hours early because they were putting down our family dog that was sick, and I wanted to be there. My boss was super understanding about it and allowed me the time off. The next day, I came back to work and was working with a 50-year-old dude stacking 2x4s on a car, and I accidentally dropped one. This dude looks at me and says, "Who cares your dog is dead? Stop being a pussy and don't drop things." He then mocked me about how I probably cried when they put my dog down to sleep. I absolutely did. I never felt so much rage that I almost sucker punched the dude, but just ended up going for a walk outside to cool down a bit. When my dad drove me to my therapy because of my self-harming behavior, he wanted to know why I did it. I really don't understand it myself, and to this day I still find it really hard to explain it to myself or to someone else. So after I tried my best at giving him an answer, he says, "Did you just want attention?" in a very annoyed, harsh tone. That broke something in me. That was when I realized that me and my father were never close, and we never would be. The only thing we share is our DNA and the house we live in. Everything you touch should be burned. My sister used to have a weirdly specific OCD that only seemed to be applied when I was involved. She didn't like anything on fire that I was aware of, though, but could have been because there wasn't anything in the house that could be set on fire. There's also my dad, whose word choice conveys that he really doesn't believe in me to pass college, but that's not as horrible as the burning thing. I turned 15. My mother is a narcissist and had a wonderful habit of buying herself gifts and claiming they were for me. She also couldn't stand that my birthday was a day when the attention wouldn't be on her. I had really wanted to learn piano. I requested a keyboard over and over, even if it was just one of those little $20 ones from the toy section. She got me a ring, a custom-order ring that easily cost more than a nice keyboard would. I never wore jewelry. I hated it, actually. She knew this. I opened the box and did my best to hide my disappointment. I faked a smile and said thank you, then put it on. It was too big. I'd preferred no gift at all, honestly. One drama-free night would have been perfect. I knew what was coming next. It happened every birthday or Christmas. "Oh, you don't like it? Well, if you don't like it, then I'll go ahead and take it to someone who can get some use out of it." I'd tolerated it long enough. I looked at the ring, then at her, and said, "Oh, no, I love it. I want it." Afterward, I excused myself to my room and cried quietly to myself. She couldn't stand that she didn't get her ring. She waited until my dad was busy doing the dishes, then burst in to find me crying, no longer wearing the ring. She insisted I clearly didn't want it, and I told her that it was my birthday gift and not to take it. So she turns to me, curled up on my bed, crying on my effing birthday, and says something that I've never been able to forgive her for. If I had known I was going to have such an ungrateful child when you were born, I would have told the doctors to take the baby from my arms, and I never wanted to see you again. If I had known before that you were born, I would have had an abortion. So, yeah, my mother told me she wished she'd had an abortion on my birthday, because I wouldn't let her have my gift that she bought for herself and passed off as a gift. Happy birthday to me. When I was in college, my best friend's roommate told me that he had feelings for my girlfriend, and they had hooked up, and his feelings towards her were more important to him than our friendship. We were 21 at the time and had been best friends since 4th grade. Ouch. That's pretty awful. So the actual comment wasn't that awful, but it's always stuck with me because of how utterly petty it felt. I worked for this on-campus mail service in college, sorting mostly, but occasionally filling in on delivery pickup. If there was a FedEx pickup, we'd have to fill out the little form with a time on it and leave the carbon copy. Well, I get up to the office one day and there's a FedEx, and I realize I left my pen on the console in the van. I glance around and nothing on the desk nearby, but I hear a couple of voices around the corner. Excuse me. I poke my head around and there's a man and a woman standing and just chatting, and the guy has a pen in his shirt pocket. So I step around and say something like, "Hey, sorry to bother you, but I'm picking up this package here and forgot my pen. Could I borrow yours for a second?" They both looked at me as if I'd asked if I could take their Ferrari around the block for a quick spin. The guy looked down at his pen, then up at me, and then slowly pulled his pen out and handed it to me, giving me a look like he didn't believe my gall. I said thanks and quickly scribbled my initials and the time, and then I was handing it back to the lady. Pops off with, "You should ask your boss for a raise if you can't afford your own pen." What I wanted to say was, "F you, bitch," but I needed my job, so instead I just went with, "Sorry to bother you," a slightly sarcastic edge, and left. Like I said, it wasn't that awful of a comment, and it's not like she called me the N-word or anything. Also, I'm not black, but that would have been really weird. But it was really petty and mean over nothing. That was probably 15 years ago now, but talking about mean comments, that's still the first one that pops into my head. When I was feeling like absolute shit on the verge of a mental breakdown from cyberbullying over some art I'd done, my BF at the time sent me a long-winded message with a gist saying I should have let them continue to bully me, not defend myself, and to basically never ask for help. That triggered my depression, and I nearly went suicidal from that. I'm doing much better now. To this day, I get extremely nervous, anxious, and scared when I ask for help or to organize a lift, usually to Swordcraft every Tuesday. That message has affected me from when he said it to the present time, and I doubt it will stop affecting me for a while now. I was 12. There was this girl in my class who was very much a lady, that is, regarding her stereotypically feminine interests, fashion, looks, and status, who hated me. I was a shy introvert with a handful of friends who didn't care about the kid-like clothes my parents would pick for me, my hairstyle, or gossip. It started with her making fun of me. Then one day I used a strange word when describing a character to the teacher. Read it in another book, and it was probably too advanced for a kid. The girl interrupted me and told the teacher she believed I was using words I didn't understand. The teacher said okay and asked me to explain the word to the class. I didn't know the proper definition, since I'd only just seen it in the same context, and panicked for a moment, but managed to describe it in my own words. Looking back, it was correct. Another time at lunch, she just kind of stared at me for a while, then said, in front of half of our classmates, "You probably know this, but I want you to know that I dislike you." Uh-huh. And you don't like me either, do you? Uh-huh. Do you? During an English class, small lecture room, everyone was listening, she started telling me, out of context, that I looked so much like a witch, and not the good kind, as if urging others and myself to see the truth she saw. She kept going over about how my chin and nose and my cheeks and my forehead and those ears made me look like an evil old hag. She was the first impulse to worry about my looks and clothing. She was the first. Okay. Luckily, her college major is frankly most as laughable as her future wage range. Perhaps karma does bite back. Well, there you go. We're going to stop that video with that one before it gets too long. So I hope you have enjoyed listening to some of these. Yeah, that's people are awful. I think that's just the general gist here is people are awful, and but you can't let them completely get to you. You have to rise above this, as Seether says. Anyway, hope you have enjoyed this. Go check out another video if you'd like. There's plenty of them here on the channel. And please, if you liked it, hit the like button. Maybe leave a comment, subscribe to the channel, any of those things. And we'll talk to you later. Bye.